Alright, so what we're going over in this video today is to find the inverse of a matrix. So let's say we have a matrix here. A would be -4, -1, -8, -3. And what we want to do is we want to add another 2 by 2 on the other side of this matrix. And this would be this just be 1, 0, 0, 1. And this, if you want to do it with another matrix that is not a 2 by 2, but it's like a 3 by 3, just continue the pattern where the ones are always horizontal and the rest are filled in by zeros, or the ones are always in a diagonal slope. So what we want to do is we want to manipulate this section of the matrix so that it ends up being like this one over here. So it'll be 1, 0, 0, 1. Oh, and when we manipulate this part of the matrix, we by rows, these values also get manipulated as well. So if we try to change the ball, let's say row 2, then the values 0 and 1 in row 2 would also be manipulated as well. And whenever we finish reaching this side of the matrix as this value over here, whatever is left on this side would be the inverse of the matrix. I think the notation for this is either this or that. So what we want to do is to get the ones, you use multiplication, and to get a 0, you add or subtract. And for this one, you multiply or divide. So let's try to get this value to 0 first. So what we do is, you can see how this value is twice as large as this one. So what we could do is I'm going to label this as row 1 and row 2. So what we could do is row 2 minus 2 times row 1, and we put that value for row 2. So what we want to do is we're trying to get this value to equal 0 over here. And when we do row 2 minus 2 times the value of row 1, and when you manipulate, you could use both of the rows. So 2 times -4 would be -8, 2 times -1 would be -2, this would be 2 and 0. And when we solve for this will give us the new value of row 2. And these two will cancel out, this would be -1, -2, and 1. So what we can see here is this could be our new matrix. So this would be, so in the bottom row, instead of it being -8 and -3, will now be 0, -1. And we can see over here, although the top row is still 1 and 0, the bottom row has changed to -2 and 1. Alright, so I shifted up the matrix to the top of the whiteboard, and I still left some steps here to help us with this process. So what we could do now is to continue to get this matrix to be like this, we could divide this by we could divide this is row 1, row 2. We could divide row 2 by a negative, so we could get the new row 2 value where -1 will become 1. And I think a tip we could use is to start off with getting a 0 first, because when you want to get a 1, you can just multiply it by, you can just multiply it, and the 0 won't be affected by anything, because anything multiplied by 0 is 0. So the -0 would just be 0, -1 would just be 1, negative of -2 would be 2, and 1 would be -1. So right now we just had our new values for our row 2, and now we could move on to the next step. Alright, so now we want to get this value to equal to 0. And what we could do is we could add row 1 and row 2 together, because in this column, when we add row 1 and row 2, 1 plus negative 1 would equal 0. So that's what we could do here. And row 1 plus row 2 will equal to the new row 1. So here we go. This would be negative 4, this would be 0, this would be 3, and this would be negative 1. And that's our new row 1. And all that's left is to get this value to equal to 1. And what we could do is, in order to get a 1, we multiply or divide. So in this case, to get a 1, we could multiply row 1 by negative 1/4 of row 1 to get the new value of row 1, which would be 1, 0. 3 times negative 1/4 would be negative 3/4, and negative 1 of negative 1/4 would be 1/4. And yep, so now that we have the left side of the matrix to equal 1, 0, 0, 1, the right side over here, whatever's left over, this is the inverse of the matrix.